Hello everyone, good afternoon. BC here. I'm so sorry I'm tardy. As you can see, there's some wonderful things happening behind me. My very good friend AJ right in front of me. No pressure there. He's the gentleman who helped me learn and become a better driver. Yes, I drag raced for years, but road racing, I was just pointing and stabbing, and he taught me that fast is slow. Think about that. Fast and smooth is actually slow and smooth is fast. There you go. Sorry. See, give me pressure here. Guys, I'm here. Back there are my friends from Action, and they brought a whole crew here, and they were curious about comparing a particular oil with the initial T versus pure oil, and they saw some amazing gains on the 9th Gen Civic Si, which is fantastic. Yes, machine Guiher, absolutely. And the car, I guess I'm letting the cat out of the bag, same weight to same weight, even with a temperature that wasn't in pure oil's favor, gained 7 to 8 wheel horsepower, which is amazing. Today, I really promised to talk about something, and it has to do with spark plugs. Spark plugs on YouTube, spark plugs. Now, this is a nice new one. It's the BK series, the BKR series from NGK. And slight projection there. I really like iridiums a lot, because when I used to do a lot of drag racing before I met AJ, I used a lot of copper. And I noticed with my high compression, because I was running 18 to 1, 18.4 to 1 compression, I noticed that when I was racing, I would erode my electrode very easily. But with the iridiums, not only did I have a finer point that allows the kernel to form very nicely and allow me to have a better combustion and more power, but it didn't erode. I can go through an entire event, if not 2, sometimes 3, with the same spark plugs. Now, the key thing about these plugs and keeping them happy and doing their job is not to have it coated with rubbish, right? I'm doing well, Zam. I hope you're doing great as well. Yo, 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 Tyrell Williams, talking about some plugs here. So the one way to keep these running in tip-top shape is to have the electrode clean, which itself cleans with heat and all that fun stuff. And also, you have the different heat ranges, so you want to stay within the heat range where the spark plug can keep detonation at bay, but also self-clean properly. So the hotter the plug, the deeper this center white electrode goes into and meets with the surface. The colder the plug is, the shorter that distance is, so it dissipates that portion of heat to the spark plug or to the head very easily, which is great. So, that being said, hello Falcon Lover Zach, good seeing you. Hello Real Red for you too. Good seeing you as well as always. Haven't seen you at events because we haven't had any events. Now, there's one thing that some individuals do tend to recommend, and that is Octane Boosters. So I've never been a fan of Octane Boosters, not because they tend to have some small negative effect on catalysts, but because the commercially available Octane Boosters tend to have a lot of manganese. And that manganese does funny things to your plugs. It makes it look like this. So you see that? YouTube? See that? That. This is about 200 miles on an Octane Booster, recommended by a facility, a shop out in Orange County. And as you look at this, this causes a lot of misfire because you can see this manganese, this bronze, kind of reddish brown coating, doesn't do a very good job in allowing for self-cleaning or even electrode contact, and the electrode being able to do its job properly. Hello, Shell, good seeing you indeed. So that being said, Zam wants to take his M43, M3 to, I can help you with that, by all means. I can definitely do that for you. So, this is what things should look like even when you race after a while. Even AJ, when he races, he pulls his plug, it looks close to this. It doesn't look like this. Okay, it shouldn't. And why is that the case? Because manganese allows for a high concentration of the compound to allow you to slow down the burn of a fuel and have it behave like a higher octane fuel. There are other ways to do that. You can use toluene, tetraethyl lead, benzene, known carcinogen. All those things are very good anti-knock agents. Some are, almost all of them are carcinogenic, but you need to add such high volumes to be able to get to a decent amount of anti-knock properties. So manganese, with a small amount, you can really go to town, but this is not fun, and misfiring is not fun. So nowadays, at least we live in a realm where we have access to ECU systems and E85 and all that fun stuff, so we can have our cake and eat it too, without experiencing misfires like this and ugly, nasty plugs that you have to change so often. So, just my take on that, Raysham says his has oil, sadly. That's not a good deal, not good at all. So your engine must be of poor health. You know what's even crazier with oil being in your combustion chamber? It actually reduces the octane rating of your fuel that's being ingested. So your combustion chamber has no idea what's going on, but oil is a horrible octane agent. It can burn, but it has horrible octane capability. So it dilutes your octane capability and has your combustion chamber with 91 feel like it's in 78 or 82 or something that's not optimal, which is not good, you know? Deep and Deep asks, have you ever used brisk plugs? Yes, I have. So I used to have this account. I don't think AJ even knows this. I used to have this account called TRD for a while. And something very interesting happened. They had a dyno out in the South Bay area, and when Toyota started getting into a lot of NASCAR, the dynos were just taken up. So they had other smaller divisions that still needed dyno sessions, so they rented my facility, which I was very, very pleased, and they paid me very well. They'll pay for my dyno sessions every hour, on the hour, for a whole week, and barely use it. It was great, but I was in Pomona, and it wasn't a very appealing location. I had a lot of comfort women walking around my complex. So one of the engineers said to me that she would not come back if these people keep hanging around my facility. And it wasn't me, it's just I was in a bad area. So I lost that count after that, because they didn't come back even after I moved to Chino. But anyway, I digress. They brought big bricks, they play around with brisk plugs. And I got to meet Martin, who's a proprietor here in the United States at PRI and SEMA. And it actually was pretty good. I actually liked the plugs. You know, it was just kind of harder to get. But NGK, I just love their quality control and the ease of being able to find them. So I've been using that quite a bit, you know. Valve stem seals leaking could be one thing. It could be a lot of things that can cause leaking. So a leak down will tell you a lot. Also, if you look in the port, it can tell you. So it's hard to see on the intake side because the intake can really get washed away from, unless you're direct injection, but the intake can easily be washed away from the port injection that's going in there. On exhaust, if you pull up the exhaust manifold or the header, you can see a stream of oil coming from the guide, and you know it's on the exhaust side. But if you do a leak down, that will really tell you what's going on. If you open a valve cover and you hear this coming out, oh, guess what is coming from the crankcase, and yeah, something's going on there. Also, if it's a high mileage engine, many times, yeah, your guides could be poor and your seals could be bad. And if you use rubbish oil and you weren't changing it often, it could also deteriorate your seals as well. So it requires some inspection, but it's not good for your engine at all, at all. What do you think of dual injectors for higher horsepower compatibility as daily driving? So I'm a huge advocate of stage injection, not because of daily driving or trying to find a very clever way of getting good drivability, because with the coil drivers we have nowadays and the coils that exist in modern day, let's say EV14 based injectors from Bosch, we can get a decent idle even with large injectors. So that's not a challenge. But for me, I learned something years ago, which AJ probably already knows. See, I'm just referring to him because he's looking at me. I noticed, I did an experiment in college, I may have shared this story with some of you before, that almost got me expelled. I didn't understand why, if I had my D series in a Civic or a CRX, why is it that when I went to carburetors, even with a similar cross-sectional area, why did I pick up almost 12% power? I didn't get it. So I did this experiment in lab. I did not use fuel. I used a saline solution. I initiated a spray pattern that you typically would see in a clear tube with an injector by pulsing the injector properly using a 12-volt source and a pulse width modulation for the injector. And I sprayed in the tube. And I saw the spray pattern of the injectors that we had back then. And it looked like a standard injector from the 90s. Then I simulated something very similar with a carburetor, with a Weber, or Mikuni, I should say. Had a tube, had a vacuum, and then initiated that atomization that a carburetor would do. And it looked like a cloud. And then it hit me that the atomization plays a huge role in being able to burn a fuel and not get it to absorb heat that should be doing work on the piston by the globules itself of the fuel. But something else I also noticed. The farther back we put the injector, the finer the mist. So, as injector technology continued to improve, it was little wonder that the guys in F1 always did stage injection. And as far back as 2008, with Kinsler, we did the experiment where, even though Kinsler didn't want to do it, because he said it's dangerous to have heavy overlap camshafts with an ejector that's far away. It can bring fire with it and cause a big problem, obviously. But I let him know that I was using a Series 1, but allowed me to used closer injectors for low RPM ranges, and in the higher RPM range where I don't have that weird reversion happen, I can then wean off the primary and wean in the secondary. And do you know on then I was making about 320 wheel. Do you know I gained almost 20 wheel horsepower by just staging it? Yes, atomization played that bigger role in me making power in that setup. Now you had to phase it properly, okay, but it's amazing. So long answer to a short question, I'm in love with stage injection. But not for the reasons you mentioned, more for efficiency and power. Boosted GD3 for me says, with your turbo fit build, did you use the factory PVC or any additional vent hose to the block or valve cover with a breather can? Yes. So I vented to atmosphere. I did not use the factory stuff. I totally vented to atmosphere using a catch can as a source of trapping all my vapors. I know it's very crude and simple, but that's what actually happens, you know? I get good mileage on my S2K. Keep up the good work, BC says S2 Kevs, my pleasure indeed. Oh, look at them waving back there. I just saw them, see? Being naughty. But they're pulling the SI off the dyno right now without my help. If we hear any crashing, then you know what's going on behind me. Yes, Blink Charging is here. More EV projects, absolutely. And you know what's really cool? Oh, guys, this is great. Which reminds me. So next week, I'm going to talk about this great initiative known as Electrify SoCal, which is amazing. But for all of you in the United States, or North America better yet, if you have the need, which you should, have the need for a level 2 charger, the Blink HQ, beautiful, doesn't look like a weird toaster, it's actually a beautiful level 2 charger, is on sale in Amazon if you use this code Bisimoto 30. So all caps Bisimoto 30, you get 30% off it. How crazy is that? And a credit for using a nice credit, a very healthy credit for using their chargers commercially. So guys, take advantage of it. And even if you don't have the EV, do you know something crazy? For your home, it actually increases your property value. That when you rent it out or sell it, you have an EV charger in it. So it's pretty cool. Ari Nathaniel is asking, what CAD programs do I use? I love Fusion 360. And the great thing about Fusion 360 is not only is it very user-friendly and much more cost-effective than a very popular one out there, but I can, in the cloud, put up a design. AJ right here can grab it, take a look at it, make his modifications, say, BC, this is a better way of doing it, send it back to me, and I can see a sequence and say, hey, why don't we take this out and put this in, and I send it back to him, and he can look. It's just so great. So he could be in Germany, and I could be here in Ontario, and we can exchange information very easily. Without sending files, we can just go on the cloud and grab it and take a look and modify it. It's really great. And they're constantly updating it. You even have the capability, yes, you even have the capability of doing FEA analysis. So I like it a lot, you know? Yo, John says, BC, build an Integra, please. Honestly, it's totally up to Acura. So a lot of the cars that I build here, the banner is right here. You guys can see it. And the Hyundai that's back there. They're all OEM builds. And what's cool about the OEMs is that they allow us the benefit of building something new and old. So with the resources we get from the OEMs, we can build a crazy new project and then grab an old one and put some really interesting technology in that. So there are rumors about what's coming out from the Acura brand, which should really excite you, Integra lovers. So that being said, when that happens, I promise you, I will build one. How's that? CT Design is asking, with the AM Infinity, do I need any extra sensors for any type of fail-safe for fuel pressure or oil, or can you just use that within the ECU? So yes, what you typically have to do is at your fuel rail or your fuel pressure regulator or any source is ideal for fuel pressure, you have in like a 100 PSI stainless steel sensor from AEM. On the oil system, I usually tee off the dummy switch that goes on all the, like in your case, the S2000, and I wire that to the Infinity. That way, the Infinity can see the 0.5 signal of what your pressure is, and yes, you can build in fail-safes so that if your oil pressure falls below a certain threshold, it puts the car idle. Not shut it off, but puts it idle so you can get to somewhere safely. Same thing with fuel pressure. I can do the same thing with AFRs. It's a very usable, very user-friendly system. So yes, you need those two sensors indeed. What is your favorite car that isn't a Porsche and why? Let's see. That isn't a Porsche. You know what? I mentioned this earlier on with the manufacturer, but I really do like the Acura NSX. We drove that before. AJ and I, he's like, wow, this thing's pretty quick. Scary. Yeah, he says scary even. So why do I like it? It has the technology that is typically reserved for 7-figure cars in a car that's in the low 100s, mid to low 100s. So that being said, for $150,000, you can have technology that you can see in a seven-figure Porsche 918 Spider. You can see that what you may see in a P1, in an Enzo. You have these cars that are these hybrids with this KERS-based technology, and you have that with an Acura, which is absolutely amazing, right? So that being said, I really like, I mean, the interior may leave a little bit to be desired because it's not as rich as I would like to see, but to be honest with you guys, it's an amazing vehicle. It's a shame that it's not as popular as it could be. It's an amazing vehicle indeed. It's just great. How do electric vehicles do at altitude? Great question, Real. It doesn't care. Period. So let's think about the internal combustion engine versus the electric motor. Internal combustion engine ingests air. I'm going to make this very basic. That air contains about 21% of oxygen, okay, at sea level. As you go up in elevation, the molecules of air tend to become further and further apart from each other. So for every pumping or every ingestion of air by your engine at elevation, it gives less and less oxygen. And the oxygen is very critical for combustion and allows you to make power. So as you drive up hills, you know how your car gets slower and slower? Sucks, right? Well, with electric motors, it could care less about air being ingested. It's pretty much these clever electrons that are just moving around, going from the battery to the motor, and getting pushed back into the battery when you regen. So if you have the opportunity to run really quick here at sea level, when you go to elevation, when you go to Colorado, when you go to Pikes Peak, when you go to Mount Kilimanjaro, it's the same acceleration. It doesn't care. Another advantage of electric motors, which is pretty cool. Or electric vehicles, I should say. What's the discount code for the EV chargers again? Says real for red for you. It is Bisimoto 30. So Bisimoto 30 on Amazon. Just do a search for Blink HQ and you'll see it. It gives you 30% off. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It is so worth it. And you have this beautiful level 2 charger that can charge all electric vehicles, from Teslas to Leafs to even our conversion projects to you name it, to Jaguars, to Porsches, you name it. And even if you don't have an EV yet, real red for you, it does increase property value. I've seen houses on the market where people rent out and they put in that they have a level 2 charger, and boom, they can charge a little bit more, so it'll pay for itself. And then you get this little cool discount code with you as well. It's pretty nice. It's nice, you know? Hey guys, the guys here want you guys to shout hello at the same time. See, they did it. They're nice chaps. They're nice. Ravine is just laughing so much. I saw some carbon rims you're working on, says Electric Classic Minis. Well, that is the combination that we have with our friends from Carbon Revolution. So they manufacture the carbon wheels, Australia-based company. Brett Gass is the founder and owner, very great guy. And I use them quite a few of my race cars. And these carbon fiber wheels, we've even done them on certain EV projects, or better yet, hybrid projects. And it does amazing things for reduction of rolling resistance. Rolling mass, I should say. Not rolling resistance, that's more the tires. But it does wonderful things for reducing that unsprung weight, which is fantastic. Above and beyond that, they are the original equipment manufacturer for Ford with the Ford GT and the GT350. They also do some stuff for Ferrari. They're great guys. So there are a lot of things that we do that we can't talk about, but it's a great company. I love them very much. I need your knowledge, says Machine Guerrero 42. Where did I get it? Right here, sir. I'm here to help. I'm here to share as much as I can because I'm just an advocate of technology. I feel technology should be fun. You can expect from me in the next few months to do something I refer to as edutainment, where I see these YouTubers who do very exciting things that are very entertaining, but lack complete education. Then I see my peer engineers like AJ and I, who we just do things that are very educational, but really kind of boring. So what can we do to bring the two together? That's my goal for the next few months, to do things that are exciting, educational, and just really fun. So you can expect to see that on our channel. More reason why you should subscribe to the Bisimoto YouTube channel. AJ, what's your channel?
Relentless Racing.
Relentless Racing is another good one as well.
All one word.
This guy he scares me because he's so meticulous. He takes things apart and clean things, and he has all the great videos how to do, and it's frightening. In a good way. But he's a good guy. Okay. Do you take in customers for electric conversions? Yes, we do. But that queue is getting quite long, Frankie S14. So we have right now, in the event that you want to do something, we have 7 cars ahead of you. So that's pretty crazy, right? So yes, we're more than happy to do it for you, but the queue is getting longer and longer every week. I like your shirt. Can you provide me where to find it? Yes, you can, on the Bisimoto web store. So if you go in there now, I think I still have a few left, so grab them. They are quite popular. How do we determine the size throttle body is needed to complement the head without over throttle bodying a setup? Oh, that's a good question, and one I should add on. Very, very good question, because I just did a test later on today. So I'm going to share with you my procedure. Initially, you don't know. You can guess, but you want to err on the side of starting with something smaller. So let's say you have a 2.0 system, liter car, and you put like a 68 millimeter throttle body, single throttle body. You know the intake plenum that you have on your car? That is the atmosphere that supplies your engine. So, if your engine within the normal operating range, or RPM range, demands more air than the intake manifold can provide, a vacuum starts forming inside your intake manifold. So what I do is I put a sensor on my dyno or map sensor or some kind of device that allows me to look at it and log it. And I do a full sweep at full power during a tuning session or whatever the case may be. If in a natural aspirated setup, I see that I'm pulling anything more than 0.1 inches of mercury, I am definitely creating a lot of vacuum and need to reduce that resistance to some extent to make more power. So ideally, you want to go up in throttle body size to a point whereby you have no vacuum, especially in high RPMs. In a perfect world, you want to be in positive, but with atmospheric pressure, of course, being at 0 would be ideal. I've seen cars come in where they picked up 10, 20, 30 horsepower by just going to a larger, less restricted throttle body and or intake system. So it makes a big difference. Monitoring, and a lot of dyno places don't do this, but monitoring your intake manifold can go a long way in allowing you the opportunity to improve. I hope that helps. Well, guys, oh my God, time is almost one. I'm an hour. Wow, this was crazy. Anyway, guys, it was a slice of heaven. Sonny's asking if we have any more plans for products of Buster, and yes, tuning. We have some things with intakes coming out. We have things with, I'm partnering with CSF for the intercoolers that's coming any moment now. I've been doing a lot of rapid prototyping to optimize that. So yes, but guys, thanks so much for joining me here on Tech Tuesday. I'm gonna put this up here on Instagram to stay on indefinitely. I also will have the opportunity to have an edited version up on here YouTube so that people can view that whenever they feel like. And also, for those of you who have podcasts at leisure, you can, whether you're walking your dog, using the loo, or exercising, not at work, but doing a break at work, you can actually listen to it on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. See, it's beeping, telling me to get off, you know, it's crazy. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week.